It's not like my dad used to take me on the that must be the emergency services. Unless that's where we're getting off from. Oh, I think we're going through there with instructions. Ah, bollocks. I can barely see it very well. There's not a lot of planes over there. The hangers.
strength. And we will indeed be starting with one or two extra items in just a moment or two's time. Before we do get to that point, there are some basic rules of the game to which I'd like to introduce you, if I may. And that is, of course, that first and foremost, it is your safety, ladies and gentlemen, that is paramount throughout the whole of your stay here at Culdrose. Would ask you, therefore, most fundamentally to make sure that you stay behind barriers at all times, be that along the crowd line itself, parallel to the runway, or indeed around the static aircraft, for example. And indeed, with the conditions being as wet as they are, you may find, because I know there's been lots and lots and lots of you going through the hangars today, and doubtless will continue so to do, you may find the entrance to one or two of the hangars being a bit slippery. Indeed, the personnel within will be ready to answer your questions about the wheres and whys and whens of Airday itself. And that King Air that you saw arriving, again, presages its part later on in the flying programme, but of course in an even newer form, the King Air 350ER with the name Avenger. That's the Royal Navy's newest aircraft, and it's based here at Culdrose, and you'll see the four of them on static display at various points. Next month they start flying, earning their keep with 750 Squadron, training observers here on the programme. I would ask you to look to the runway. It's a very unusual opening to any Airday programme. But to tell you more about that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bernardino.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this wet and windy afternoon at Culdrose. And the pretty little... Excuse me for a second.
Well, I'm sorry to have to cut in on Bernie there, and indeed Brendan O'Brien, but the cloud base has come right down, as you've seen, and even for Brendan, who specialises in very low flying, it's too low right now, so he's taking the aircraft and its very unusual runway back to the dispersal, and we'll look for a little later on in the programme to start again.
Well, sorry that Captain Boogaloo can't be with you at this moment in time, but hopefully he shall join us a bit later on when the weather improves, so we'll look forward to that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Roger.
That's a shame, isn't it? Suck this weather.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, an update, if I may please, on the situation. You will have noticed, the weather keeping us on the toes all the time, that the cloud base has indeed really come down in that last 20 minutes or so, 10 minutes or so. You can see now it's sweeping across to the north, so that does presage a clearance. What in fact is happening is that the weather can most certainly be a problem, particularly for the fighters, the Spitfire and Hurricane elements of the Battle of Britain Memorial flight. Not only do they have very small windscreens which cover rapidly with oil, which doesn't take rainwater too well,
No, it's the same one.
but certainly with the older versions of the aircraft, they have wooden propellers which don't indeed fare at all well, the leading edges of them, in heavy rain. So again, prudence comes first, but we hope at least to see Lancaster and Spitfire arriving a little later on, prior to their part in the programme. Our first sight of preparatory to the Balbo opening proceedings. That is at 1 o'clock at 1300. So for the moment, this is perhaps the time to think about lunch, or think about staking your claim on the crowd line, or indeed for the recent arrivals, to think too about having a look at the exhibition hangars, which may certainly have proved to be very popular so far today, not surprisingly. Let me remind you, while the flying program is scheduled to finish at 5 o'clock at 1700, Airday doesn't finish then. Do stay to look further around the static park, around the exhibition hangars.
But you know, it's just, you know, and the way he could just land it, and yeah, but this is beautiful.
It's not the whole thing. It's not so expensive as an normal.
No. It's, I mean, it's just fun. I mean, it does 300 miles safely in distance. So how is it to keep this bird going? How difficult is it to maintain? Yeah.
Catalina.
Flow. So when you're flying trans, you'll have one kind of flying and the other the system, but also you still have to make enough and basically handling the communications with the control area we're with. So it's two at all times, and we always fly with the third person, which is the crew chief. So normally that's how we fly. The job with the various family reasons. And we're there. But one of the main jobs actually is just, for example, when we land, the crew chief has to physically, visually check that the main undercarriage is locked down. Yeah, so we can't rely on those. Yeah, that one, but also that one could be well more from here because it goes in the dark, so you know it's up. But manually.